And he acknowledged that he was an admirer of mine, saw some of my interviews and studied uh, the interviewing technique that I use, and now he's perfected it with a lot of linguistic techniques. And so he gave a speech here on his linguistic techniques. He could summarize that, but while we were talking, we find that we have some difference of opinion, which is what we try to focus on. See, so if you want to tell us a little bit about your talk, and if you want to then tell me why the people that believe in limited government believe in angels, or that everybody is an angel, right?
That's part of it. I think that's a way of putting that's perhaps unfair to your position, but one that I would stand by in the following sense. James Madison said there are no angels in the Federalist, one of the Federalists, and I am of the view that I'm persuaded by Madison in this, and the tradition that extends from Madison, which is the public choice tradition. James Buchanan and Gordon Tullock really were great proponents of this. Also, Mansur Olson, the logic of collective action. And this whole public choice tradition, for me, is very compelling, but it militates against the idea of an ideal limited government that's sustainable over time.
Let me ask you, when you say an ideal limited government, you mean that the government is perfectly limited? Because I think that most people like myself that advocate limited government advocate it as a political theory ideal. Mm-hmm. So we are striving to get as close to that ideal, to that objective as possible. If we can get it 100%, we love it.
Then you'd be an anarchist?
No. When we get it 100%, we would not be anarchists. We would be limited government. And that's one of the differences between the anarchist and myself and the limited government people. If I'm ready for limited government right now, tomorrow I'm happy with it. When I interview the anarchists, they usually say, well, we don't want the anarchism right now. We want it down the road. We have to go through a process. Everybody has to become committed to not violating everybody else's rights, which will never happen. But limited government can work fine, even if it's like, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50% of the people don't believe in it. As long as you have limited government, you can get quite a few of the benefits of freedom, and you can get the prosperity that, for example, the United States got. So I'm trying to understand.
Maybe we don't disagree.
Oh, okay.
Okay, maybe we don't. I think for me, there is something. There's kind of, for me, there's little point. It might be of academic interest to talk about some sort of ideal, sort of platonic form of government or even of anarchy towards which we might work. But I don't think it's particularly useful when we talk about how we're going to get there. And on that we agree. I think we both share a commitment to reducing the size of government and reducing the amount of violent aggression in the world that exists due to the state. Now, at what point it becomes an ideal is based on where you establish your philosophical premises. Now, maybe on that we disagree. I've come to a position that I call asymptotic anarchism. And it's just a goofy or fancy way of saying that let's try to get as far as we can in that direction, because the state is inherently, a la Max Weber, inherently violent. And if we can get beyond the state, I like, for example, the form polyarchy or panarchy, which is competitive governance. So I look at I think it's more pragmatic or more interesting to talk about governance structures that compete for members than to talk about some idealized thing, because I'm interested in the functional aspect of competition between and among governance structures.
Well, I think that it's important for anarchists and people that believe in limited government to make common cause and to work together to limit the tyrannical aspects of the state, and the problem is that when you're discussing political theory, what you're discussing is what you think the ideal is.
Right.
And so the ideal is different. And then you have to decide, well, if it's different, somebody's wrong. They both can't be right. So either the ideal is no government at all, or the ideal is limited government. And so that's what the debates are about, and I've been doing a lot of them recently. It's about whether anarchism and no government is the ideal, the optimum possibility. Now, you were saying